I left my house for a week. A couple hours after I left, the power went out. I had a UPS on my server rack, but it didn't outlast the outage. And when it drained dead, it didn't come back on. My whole network went down, internet, cameras, smart home, everything. When I got back, I found out there had been a security incident while I was gone. My cameras didn't capture any of it. So now I'm fixing it. Hey, I'm Jeremy. I figure things out around the house so that you don't have to start from scratch. Let's get into it. This is my server closet. It's running my whole network. Switches, a NAS, a server, and smart home stuff. And this is what I've been relying on to protect it. A CyberPower 1500 VA UPS. It's been sitting on the floor here doing its job. Well, sort of. My power is terrible. It blinks multiple times a week, and I get full outages pretty regularly. This thing gives me about 30 minutes of runtime. That's enough to survive a quick blink, but a real outage, not a chance. And it gets worse. When it actually drains dead, it doesn't come back on by itself. You have to physically go press the button, and some of the gear in the rack doesn't auto boot either. So even after the power's back, nothing comes on until you go in there and start pressing buttons. Oh, and there's no outlet in the closet, so I've just been running a power cord out the door this whole time. So here's what I'm replacing it with. These are actually leftover from a camper build I did a while back. I didn't buy any of this for this project specifically, but it's perfect for it. This is an EG4 3000 EHV inverter. It's a 3 kilowatt, 48 volt off-grid inverter. It's going to live on the wall here. And this is an EG4 LLS battery. 48 volts, 100 amp hours, 5.12 kilowatt hours. It's going on the floor. Now the inverter actually has a UPS mode built in, but even in that mode, the switchover is too slow, long enough for the stuff in the rack to notice the power dropped. So the UPS has to stay. It handles the instant switchover, and the battery just keeps feeding it for hours instead of 30 minutes. And one more thing, I'm finally putting an outlet inside the closet so I can stop running that cord out the door. Now I need to figure out where this new outlet is going to land. I've got an outlet on the other side of the wall, so I'm basically copying it over. I'm just making sure I don't hit a stud, and I'm not going to run into the existing box. Once I like the spot, I grab the remodel box and trace it. Then I take a drywall knife and cut that hole out. Take your time here, because if you overshoot it, the box won't clamp tight. Before I touch any wiring, I'm turning the power off to that outlet. Now I can pull the existing outlet out of the wall. I feed a new piece of wire from that box into the wall cavity, and then go to the closet side and fish it out through the new hole. Once I've got the wire, I run it into the new remodel box and clamp that box into the drywall. Then it's just the normal stuff. Strip the wires, wire them into the outlet, and then put the faceplate on. Now I've got an outlet inside the closet. Back on the other side, I cut the wire to length and get ready to tie everything back together. This outlet already had 2 different runs into it. So now I've got 3 sets of wires that all need to connect, and then I'll run a single set to the outlet. I'm using Wago connectors for this because they're fast and they make clean connections. If you haven't used these before, they're awesome for quick jobs like this. I'll link them below. Once everything's tied together, I wire the outlet back in, tuck it back into the box, and put the faceplate on. Then I can turn the breaker back on. One quick check of both outlets to make sure everything is good to go. Now the inverter can't just go straight onto the drywall, it needs a solid mounting surface. I just happened to have this scrap piece of 3/4 inch plywood laying around that was the perfect size for this. I mark where I want it on the wall, find my studs, and screw it in. And the nice thing about doing it this way, once the plywood's up, I can put screws anywhere on the surface without having to find a new stud every time. The plywood just handles that. Now the inverter manual calls for a fire resistant surface behind the unit. I had a scrap piece of aluminum that worked perfectly. I just screw that right onto the plywood as a backing. Then the inverter hangs on the 2 screws at the top and gets a 3rd screw at the bottom to lock it in place. There's this handy little extension bit that makes it way easier to reach those top screws once it's on the wall. I'll link it below. Now it's time to wire everything up, starting with the AC input. I had an extension cord where one end got messed up, so I cut the male plug off and used that as my AC input cable for the inverter. I added ferrules to the stripped end to make sure the connections were solid, and then wired it in. For the AC output, same idea. Ferrules and a clamp connection on another piece of wire wired into the inverter. The ground for this one goes on the outside of the inverter box. I needed somewhere to plug into the output side, so I grabbed a wire mold deep box, wired an outlet into it, and mounted it to the drywall with some anchors. Now for the battery. I stand it up in the corner, connect the hot and ground cables from the inverter. I flip the battery on, the inverter lights up, and it immediately throws an error. After a little bit of troubleshooting, I realized I forgot the battery communication cable. It's an RJ45 on one end and a USB-B on the other, the kind you'd see on a printer. Plug that in, and now we're up and running. One thing before I plug the charger into the wall. This inverter can pull up to 30 amps on the AC input, and the outlet and wiring can't handle that. So I go into the settings, limit the charger to 25 amps DC, so at 52 volts, that's about 1300 watts, which works out to roughly 12 amps on the AC side, well under the 15 amp rating on the outlet. Then I plug it in. I plug the UPS into the outlet coming off of the inverter's AC output. The rack is already plugged into the UPS, so that at this point everything is connected. Before I test this thing, if you're finding this useful, hit the like button. It really does help. And if you'd like to see more projects like this, subscribe. Now for the real test. Right now the inverter is in bypass mode. Wall power is flowing straight through to the UPS and the rack. I unplugged the power cable from the inverter to simulate an outage, and the UPS kicks in instantly while the inverter switches over to battery. A couple seconds later, it's back online. Now it's running entirely off of the battery. The server rack never dropped. But how long will it last? I charged the battery to 100%, unplugged the inverter again, and walk away. 30 minutes later, I come back, everything is still running, and the battery's at 97%. That's 3% in a half an hour, which means I'm looking at roughly 16 to 17 hours of runtime on a full charge. And if the power goes out longer than that, I've got bigger problems than my server rack. I went from 30 minutes on just a UPS to over 16 hours on a battery. I'll take that. And that's it for this one. Power goes out now, the rack stays up, cameras keep rolling, and I don't have to drive home to press a button. Thanks for watching.